following with the tweet watch for Barack Obama, and the only reason why I'm doing this is because if something's going to happen, I think there's going to be clues in plain sight, and this would be one of the places the clues would be. So I do have a few statements here for you. I don't want to take too much time, but here's the thing that made me turn on the recorder right away, is that these pictures are from his Buzz feed. I think it's called his Buzz feed, where he and Casey at Under the Stars has a great video on this. Please go over there, and I don't have the link, and I think I've tried to search it, and sometimes it's hard to search, but it has to do with this BuzzFeed having the symbols in it of Lupercalia. And so please go to that Casey's video if you are interested in the BuzzFeed having to do with Lupercalia. Lupercalia has to do with a lot of sacrifice dates that are proven to have sacrifice ties. Now, I don't know if we're on any anti-dates right now of Lupercalia. I should probably check that, because there's 3 Lupercalias. Oh, or 2. There's this one. Actually, I think I saw 3. Let me just look here. So beat the buzzer. I'm going to look at those. The big fundraising deadline is here. Why would they have a fundraising deadline right here during the time of the Pope? I mean, I guess they have all eyes on them. Right here, he's making a basket. Basket is a Lupercalia symbol. He eats cookies. Cookies are a Lupercalia symbol. He says words that are actually Lupercalia words, and then he pretends like he misspoke himself in this video. I haven't watched this video to see if it's the whole thing. He selfie sticks himself, or he selfies. I think he selfie sticks himself. I can't remember, or just a selfie, and that has to do with the iPet Goat 2 references. Time's running out. This is just not something that a lot of people need to hear right now. So these feel to me like baiting type of tweets. Okay, so let's just take a look at some of these numbers. So fundraising deadline has July 4th in it. And the outer valence field here is also a 9 with a 7 in the middle. 79 is 16. The thing that comes to mind there is a P. So this is a kind of a triple 11, like a 111, like a 101 gateway. And then here we have the spirit of 76 again with the 1 next to it. And this does, in this Jewish Gematria, it equals Barack Obama, President Barack Obama. Now we do have to look. Now, one way to try to see the behind message, I've done this with some songs. Before I was making videos, I decoded the song "This Girl's on Fire" because my daughter was singing this song, and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want her to agree with something like this. I found out it has to do with Virgins on Fire, which has to do with Lupercalia. So I taught her about the hidden codes underneath the music, and that, you know, but you think about all the middle school girls jumping up and down singing "This Girl is on Fire," and then you think about what people are agreeing to, you know, in terms of like the Mecca stampede, and so many people were killed, and those people didn't know what they were agreeing to with their rituals, the dark rituals that we do, that we don't know what you're agreeing to, because humans are so innocent. So some of the things, fundraising deadline could be code for possession. A lot of people think that when the veil falls, or say CERN broke the veil, that we would have a rift between the dimensions, and then you would suddenly be faced with stronger and stronger demons than you've ever been faced with before. There are quite a lot of New Age teachers who have been talking about this, and they've been talking about, and also this is also foreshadowed in the Mad Max movie, where they say everybody's gone mad. Well, if the veils did break, if they did succeed in breaking the veils from the 4th dimension, I mean, you have to be glad that we are not meshed with the 4th dimension, because to be meshed with the 4th dimension, you need to be strong and awake, or you will be pulled into, one thing, you'll be pulled into creating things with your own mind that you do not wish to create, but also you can be taken over by strong entities that are in the 4th dimension. So I'm not saying that is the answer to this, but it's interesting that it equals this, and that it's interesting that this is one of the main concerns having to do with exploring dimensions or mixing dimensions. Apparently according to some sources, this happened in Atlantis when they built a false Merkaba, and they basically ripped open the sixth dimension to the third, maybe even lower, I'm not even sure. And then basically all the entities from all the dimensions meshed in with everybody. So basically everybody became possessed by, and then, you know, all the entities in every dimension were disoriented and combined. So I don't want to scare you, but I'm trying to find out what time is running out here. What is the time running out? I don't think they need any more money. I think they have all the gold in the water and probably all of the toilet paper, and they're probably ready. I mean, why do they need more money? So in this other tweet, they ask you to chip in now, and if this doesn't raise the hair on the back of your neck, you might not have any hair on the back of your neck. What the heck? And this also has to do with Elijah the prophet. The last one has to do with Elijah the prophet if we go down here to the English. The power of Elijah the prophet. Let me just see if these are, yep. Oh my gosh. Do you see this? Is this in the same tweet? Time's running out. Where's the chip in? Yes, it's in the same tweet. This is Elijah the prophet in Jewish Gematria. Yes, right. Julius. They're talking about something here, and I want to find out what it is. Do you want to find out what it is? Okay. And this is, so one of it's in the simple Gematria, and one of it's in the Jewish Gematria, and there are other tie-ins. So Elijah the prophet, what happened with that, as far as I know, and I haven't really studied that recently, is that he was taken up by the Anunnaki. He was an Anunnaki. He was a combined demigod Nephilim offspring, and he was taken up by the Anunnaki. He did not ascend into, glowing into light and then disappearing, unless he was beamed up. Maybe he was beamed up, but I think he was taken up by the Anunnaki. And I will bring that to you in the back of the books when I find that in the ancient scriptures, because we don't want to take the Vatican word for it, do we? No. Back to the Future is in here. Time travel. Time travel is going to happen when dimensions fall, or it's going to be like that. Okay, do you hear that? So this. Okay, let's go to the punchline and see what the code is on here. Okay, so the punchline there is Bread of Christ, 108 gateway, the double Venus gateway, and 37. Now I've talked to you about the 3773 gateway, and so this is the 937. This would be the completion. So 18 is actually the manifestation number, and then when you digitally root it, it's the 9. So the manifestation number is the birth. That would be the beginning. I've shown in other videos how birth has 9/11 Gematria for sure, every way you cut it. And I think that birth is one of the major root symbols of this number that we're working with here. So this digital root is 937. So this would be the beginning and the end of the completion of the craft. Because this 3773 number is a star matrix number. I do believe that it has authentic roots in divine creation, like actual divine creation of the God that created this world, not Yahweh, the true creator. Yahweh was a Nephilim poser. I believe that it does have true roots to that. However, when the Freemasons use it, I think they are talking about the craft. They're talking about their creation. Go down here to the simple and in English. Wow, it's lots of scrolling. More people are using this. Okay, so Vladimir's in here, New York City. Getting chills because I'm just worried about people's safety. I don't know what they're going to do. I hope that the people on the ground are going to keep everything safe. In my last Back to the Books, I talked about Alexander the Great and his tie-in to Marduk-Ra. He was basically the son of Marduk-Ra. He's a demigod of Amun-Ra. Every time the Christians say Amen, they are saluting Amun-Ra, Marduk. You should know that. You should Google that, guys. I'm here trying to tell you the truth. I'm not saying I'm right all the time. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. Okay, so this is New York City. Wish I could stick that into my mind. Okay, so another thing I want to point out is that this digitally routes right here to 16. So we need to keep an eye on this, because in the Jewish Gematria, they do have expiration dates, and they do have major dates having to do with different concepts. So we are worried about New York City. Maybe it's going to happen in the year 16, because this would be a 10. I was going to say that would be a 2-0, but maybe they're just talking about the 16 here. I'm not sure. 68 is the opposite of 86. These are both death numbers. This has to do, 68 is stock, it's market. Stock market is 816. So, man, I hope I remember this. Come on, brain, you can do it. She squints. I don't know if I could squeeze information into your brain by squinting. Probably should write this down. Okay, so they think this is cute. This reminds me, though, I want to talk about Dabu777 has a video up in the last day about the gray that is seen in the reflection of the window behind Barack and also behind George Bush. And he didn't really go too far to analyze that, but I left a message or a comment on that page about Barack Obama's late night interview. I think it was with Kimmel? Can't remember the host now, but he basically talked about that the aliens don't let me talk about that. They're in charge. And I think we need to keep that in mind when we see grays in the reflection, and people are kind of thinking, oh, that's an entity, like it's a floating ghost. To me, it looks like that gray is standing behind the camera. He's standing there telling his puppets what to say on camera, and he's basically showing up in the reflection. And the cameraman is one of these good guys. He's one of these positive military undercover, okay, I probably shouldn't say that and out him, but the cameraman is not accidentally filming that. He's filming it on purpose. So there are possibly good guy insiders on Obama's tweet team here. He's got a tweet team. Let's find out the name of it. Oh, Organizing for Action Staff. OA or OA. Oh, so that would be a 16 right there. That's a P, like a Chiro. If you don't count the of. Wait, did I get that right? 4, if you don't count the 4. So it would be OFA or 15, which is a 6. F is a 6, and A is a 1. That would be 661. All right. It's scaring me. So what if they are actually trying to send you a message here? Do you hear that? Let's look at, I guess I should stop talking about this and look it up. So here, Bing Crosby sings, Do You Hear What I Hear? And it says, do you hear what I hear? Do you see what I see? Little lamb, little lamb. Go look up Little Lamb. We'll be here all day looking things up. Then he says, a star shining in the night with a tail as big as a kite. Okay? I think we need to know that. Let's go back over here. Okay, so do you hear that from this tweet is 17. This is the Q gateway that I've been talking about. 17 is the letter Q. Q is the power symbol for the UN. It's a religious type of idea the Freemasons have, that they can interrupt phi or divine creation with Q. This is how they feel like they can meddle or change or do their craft or whatever. Do you hear this? This is the 9-6. I've talked a lot about the 9-6. If you're new to my channel, I've talked a lot about the 9-6. It has basically to do with FR is 6-9 because the F is a 6 and the R is an 18, which digitally roots to a 9, and the day of 6/18 is the 169th day, while the 196th day is 7/15, which is GO. So that means that this is the GO equivalent to the FR, first 2 letters of God. And it has to do with the fall. So when you think about the God that's in the Bible, that the Vatican teaches you about, those are the fallen gods. I really am just ready to just speak plainly about that. Yahweh is a Vatican word for the Nephilim gods, and that's why Yahweh asks for child sacrifice, and that's why Yahweh is a jealous God and an angry God and a destroying God, because he's a fallen God. He's a fallen Nephilim, and basically God actually means those, Anunnaki means those who from the heavens came, and this word God means those who from the heavens came. The heavens would be the ninth level of heaven. If you're new to my channel, that's going to be quite shocking. And if you're Christian, just know that I was raised Christian. I'm not Christian or any religion anymore. The feeling of God that I go with is the feeling of God that is in all of divine creation, does not have a name, loves everybody, accepts all of the chaos here in creation, holds it all with love. Cannot be really, isn't really taught in religions. Can't be given a name. I mean, I guess like Native Americans called it the Great Spirit, but it has to do with your cohesiveness and with this divine creation. So I don't belong to any religion like that, but I do sympathize with people who are trying to shed the brainwashing of religion. It's a difficult process. Okay, so here we have a 7-7, a divergent 7, and this has to do with the way. So these numbers of the way and this God number, and this would be the elect number. And I found this number recently in my videos having to do with some concepts that I didn't want to forget, and now I can't remember what they were. I have too many things going on. Maybe I'll find it in my notes later. Masonic Grand Lodge, John D. Rockefeller, planet Saturn. A lot of people are concerned with this. I'm not really up on learning this, and I can't accept someone else's teaching. I have to figure it out for myself as much as I can, or at least the ones that I have read. I'm not sure about the roots. I'm not sure about if they are coming from a religious point of view, because if they're coming from a point of view that has to do with the Bible, I feel like they're kind of lost in Vatican land, so I can't build anything on that. Seal of Solomon. This has this has Orion codes in it. Apple computer. Okay, so I looked up, do you hear what I hear? We have a Ra going both ways. This is the number of Ra, R-A. I believe Ra is the first creation of the 4 sounds of creation, the Ankh. I have a video on that, about the Ankh. But the reason why, but not only, I just had the feeling that I should look that up, do you hear what I hear? Then it has to do with a comet. So what we need to do is Wikipedia that song. And because there's going to be codes in the Wikipedia that are going to tell you about a comet, if there really is a comet. A star with a tail as big as a kite. Now, kite is code for ISIS. And kite was also a code word in 9/11. When George Bush was reading to the children, they had the word kite in that book, and they had the children read back these words in a black magic ritual to basically have the children sort of pray for it. And the words were kite, plane, burning steel, those kind of, I don't know what that has to do with a goat, but anyway, the other tie-in to this Philadelphia time is that we have a lot of numbers counting up, a lot of numbers counting down in this. And there's also a Simpsons episode that I have not had time to work on. It's the 266th episode for the 266th day for the 923, and it has 3 different points of view of 3 different characters, and it has in your face again and again, counting up numbers and counting down numbers. And it also has fire, explosions, interruption, mayhem, and dismemberment. Basically, Homer loses his thumb. And I think that is a siren type of reference, because when you give somebody a thumbs up, that's actually a phallus symbol. That means that you really, really like it. Here, I think we have an Obama picture of that right here. See. Oh no, I know where it is. It's right. Let me show you. Okay, so here he is with his wife, and he's showing you the true meaning of the thumbs up. And she is looking wonderful. I have another picture. I'm not going to call her a him, because even if she was born to be a boy. That's not what she's choosing now. Okay, so here she is, looking beautiful. What was I saying? I do not think that it is satanic to be trans. And I do think that some people are doing it for fashion, but I think the media is leading the trans wave just to make it okay so that no one is going to question the hormone contamination in the food. If we're all concerned about who's going to hell and who's not going to hell, no one's going to be smart enough to talk about, well, why is there so much estrogen in the food? Why do we never see any accidental testosterone in the food? So the distraction by the media is basically drawing everybody into a moral debate. Now, if you want to say that a person, I'm not saying that she was contaminated by hormones, and I'm not saying that I know what her story was or anything like that. But what I want to say is that a lot of people right now are having gender confusion. It's an epidemic, and that's why it's in the media. And that's why everybody knows somebody who's having gender confusion. And there are a lot of people who are having gender confusion who are holding on to their gender white knuckle. All these big guys with big bellies who've drinking a lot of beer. And some of the older ones may not be having gender confusion, even though they might have a big belly. A beer is an estrogen, and it will castrate you chemically. And you see that. You see people lose their drive. You see people become womanish when they... a man will turn into a placid, docile woman when he drinks, beer every day, or often enough that it changes his body. Also, marijuana does that too, and that's why men get man boobs with that. So we notice a trend. We don't notice any testosterone trends, and no one's talking about this. Well, anyway, what I want to say is it's evil to put hormones in the food. It's evil to everybody has the right to clean food. And then after the point that we have clean food, then everybody has the right, before and after, everybody has the right to gender identify or dress however they want. I mean, get over this. You sound like gorillas when we argue about this. Really, you have to logically take this to this step. Say someone gets cancer from pollution. Now, are they satanic because they have cancer, and all the Christians line up and say, you are not living, God's creation. This is not God's plan for you to have cancer. And the cancer patient is like, did you fall down some stairs? You can't figure this out. This is the same thing. If you give a little boy soy formula, it's like giving him 7 birth control pills every single day. What do you think is going to happen? It's a miracle that everybody isn't gender confused. I just picked this photo because she looks beautiful here. I am lucky to have someone who survived a transition in their life, one of my favorite people in the world. And I'm very proud of her, and the person that I know is also a very beautiful woman. She chooses to be a woman, and so she is a woman. And I don't know, what would have happened if my beloved person had eaten clean food her whole life. I don't know what would have happened, but I'm glad that she survived. I'm glad that she's happy now, and she is also a beautiful woman, just like Michelle. Now, Michelle is a royal. So I do kind of want to poke fun at her, but I do not want to poke fun at trans people because it's not okay. They are struggling. Just because everybody has different thresholds to how many hormones are going to cause you, problems, major problems, doesn't mean that you can say that somebody else isn't having an authentic experience. So, all right, soapbox there, but wanted to show you that since we were on the topic of Barack here. So Joan Rivers was killed shortly after saying that Michelle is a trans person, and that is probably the best evidence for that she probably is a trans person. And then there's also been some testimony before official sources talking about Barack's history as a gay man. So, I don't know them, but what I want to talk about is the thumb here. This is what the thumb means. It's the phallus, and that has to do with the Simpson episode that I have been taking. Actually, the Simpson episode, I do refer to it in part 26 of the short series of the Pope, or 25, one of those. So if we can all stop arguing about things that don't matter, like, you know, demonizing things, and I call that spastically demonizing things, because people will demonize things before they think it through. Think it through. Learn about, you know, hormones. Learn about these things. But while everybody's spazzing out about that, we're missing some of the clues here about comets, possibly. I think this one is about a comet. And I think, you know, do you hear what I hear? But it's weird, because the song goes, do you hear what I hear? Do you see what I see? A star, a star. I wonder if you can hear the star. Okay, time's running out. How many words equal this? Hebrew does. Masonic golden ratio measure, that's a phi. That does. The word no does. I'm going to have to take that apart. Holy Daughter of God. I'm going to think that that's probably Virgin Mary Isis. Oh, my blog. Records of the Grand Historian. Wait a minute. I ran the Gematria of my blog, and it does not equal this. I'm going to do this by hand. I think this is they know that I check this, so they are going to put this in here. I don't think this is right, because I ran the Gematria of my blog to make sure it didn't come up with anything that was, you know, maybe not so good. Maybe I'll have to change the name of my blog, and then we'll see if the next name comes up here, because I think I would have noticed this when I was checking my own blog name. All right, if whoever's inside there, they think they know, they think they got me. I see that. Very, very funny. But I think you changed the numbers. I'd have to like get out a pen and paper. I don't even know how to do Jewish Gematria, but I can do this one. So while we're looking at this, I just want to show you, this is also a 9/11 form, the Holy Daughter of God. That's interesting. And this would be a 1110. And this is one day more than the full day of the year. And this would be a 1611. So very interesting. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Now I'm starting to think maybe this is right and that I missed this, but I think that's impossible that I could miss this. I wasn't really noticing everything when I first started my blog. I was just starting. Okay, so I think I ran this before on another tweet, because I think this was in an earlier tweet down here. So I'm going to skip that part, but beat the buzzer. I just want to show you this is a 2 and a 2, and that's a 22, and the in the middle is a 33. So that is part of the alignment here, but this is also a 13. 13, Barack Obama has a B and a B. So, and also see how the 33 in the center would be a 6, and that would you would I guess back root. I don't know what the word would that be to. We take the opposite of, you know, find all of the things that would root to 6, and one of them is an O. So that would be a BOB. Okay, well here's the English and Simple Gematria code behind Beat the Buzzer. 26 is the number of God in the English language, which I believe is a word for the fallen god, the Anunnaki. There is a date in here. It is interesting that November 9th equals 11/9 in the Jewish Gematria. 8th dimension. There are some, here's a 6/9 having to do with F and R. This would also be an O and an I, which could be the first 2 letters of oil. They have some, you know, oil having to do with consciousness, as the Vatican wrote the code behind the Revelations. And this is a 9-9. We see the Pope aligning himself with these numbers a lot. And then this is a 608, and we've seen a lot of 6/8s and 8/6s in this episode and in every other episode that I've done, at least since August, having to do with the stock market and everything else. There is a buzzer or a bell or something like that in the stock market too, so I'm not sure what they're referring to here.